different results that I was just talking about, right? So rather than with the cube, when we basically created 6 surfaces, and then we created another volume, and then we would cut it, right? So it was like a subtractive exercise where we would split the surfaces out and delete the information we didn't need. If we want to create warped surfaces now, or not warped, but folded planes, it's very similar to what I just showed you here. With this box, when we created it, when I rolled it back into its form using the rotate 3D function, you can use that as a design tool, and it's pretty dynamic, I think. So we're going to run through 3 exercises here. I need you guys to create a new file, so please make sure you save this file and open up a new one. I don't care if you're working in small or large, but I would suggest feet. Sorry, I think I just opened a. Yeah, there we go. Feet. And just as a general principle here, I've told you guys many times that I'm not a big fan of using the grid. So I'll show you how to actually turn it off. To turn off the grid, you type in grid. And there are a whole bunch of different settings and stuff here that you can play around with. If you really, really care about it, you should know that snap spacing changes your grid snap if that's what you want to use. And then the minor and major line intervals are how far apart these light gray and dark gray lines are. And extents is how far out does it go. And then show grid axes is whether or not you see the red and green axis. But where's the H? Show grid equals yes. That's the one that you can toggle on and off. And just take a quick look at all these settings here and notice that they all have underscores on one letter. When a command has an underscore for a letter, that means that that letter, if you type it in and hit enter, toggles that command or activates that particular subsetting of the command. So under show grid equals yes, the letter is H. So if I type in H and hit enter, it toggles it to show grid equals no. Same thing for perspective. I hit H. Whoops, sorry, same. I'm still in the same view. So you have to reactivate the command, hit H, enter to cancel it. Next view, enter again, H, enter. Next view, enter, H, enter. Whoops. Grid, H. Okay, so that just clears it out. This is how I typically like to work. Because you have to turn it off in each view. Yeah, now do it. Yeah, you have to cancel. Yeah, well, you have to finish the command and then re-enter it in the next view. Okay. So what I want to show you guys is how you can use Rotate 3D and Split to create folded planes, and it's actually remarkably simple. So to get us started, actually, I'm going to start by just creating a surface from 3 or 4 corner points, and it's located on the left-hand side of the menu there. It's the one with the 4 dots, and it's just going to very simply ask you for 4 points, right? So you could type in where they go, or you can just click on screen. This particular exercise is very, very intuitive. So I'm going to start off with, well, actually, let me start with a rectangle, and I'm going to just say I don't know what sizes the assignment was made for in the design class for those of you that are in it, but I'm going to make it 50 by 100 feet. So I'll start with 0, 0, and I'll say 100 feet, 50 feet, and this just gives me a boundary within which I can begin to operate on the approximate size of the building that I'm trying to make. Yes?
How do you get all the other viewports to turn off the grid?
You have to finish the command by hitting enter, go into the next view, and do the command again. Okay, so after you've got the rectangle, then we're going to create a surface within it. And I don't want it to be a rectangular surface. I want it to be a little bit skewed. So we'll activate the command, and it says first corner of surface. So I'm going to kind of drop it somewhere in space here without snapping to the edge. I'll do another one here, and there, and there. So in perspective, I'm going to make sure I'm shaded so that you can see what's going on here. So here's what I want to do. I want to create a plane that I can rotate around in space and just start to cut this thing. Almost as if you took a piece of paper and a pair of scissors and you started saying, all right, cut, 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 cut. Okay, so we're just going to start floating around very, very intuitively. So the command that I want to use is called cut plane, or you could just make another surface. It works fine either way. Cut plane, I select the object that I want to make a cut plane of, hit enter, and it asks me for two things. It asks me for a start point and an end point. And it's kind of significant because when I go from one side of my surface to the other side of my surface, this is what it does. Actually, cut plane is not what I wanted. But, that's right, it's not what I wanted. Sorry. So it actually probably should be just a regular surface to get it to be the size that I want. But take a look at what it did. I'll explain to you why it wasn't what I wanted, and it's kind of significant because cut plane will create a plane that fully intersects or fully divides or cuts through the entirety of the model that you've selected and not much more. So because this is a singular plane and because it's really, really long, it created a surface that was very, very long and not very tall. But the problem with that is that if I need to work with this in 3 dimensions, if I start to twist it and rotate it around, then it's not going to fully intersect my surface anymore. So I want to use a surface, or I can elongate this one. So I'll do a Control-Shift-Click on the top side and just stretch it up that way. And a Control-Shift-Click on the bottom side and pull it down approximately the same length. So what you should have is something that looks kind of like this. So before I go any further, I'm going to pause, make sure that we have this before we continue on and start chopping this thing up.
So if you don't want to be kind of like you stand the top plane with some kind of like line and you make it like the other line, what we should do is
Just go into, the ideal would have been to just go in the front view and draw my plane here. Draw a plane.